Good morning, everybody. It is all happening. It's all happening live. All right, all right, all right. Friday morning. All right. Just do me a favor. We need to get cracking this Friday morning. We got a lot going on. I woke up. I hate to bore you with the details. Hey, morning, Leigh-Ann. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, Sia.
Good morning.
Sia is still in the land of the Zulu, and Leigh-Ann is still in her house, and I am very exciting. Here we are. It's exactly a year since we started doing this in lockdown. You know that.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wawa weewa.
Wawa wiwa is absolutely the only way to explain it. Wawa wiwa.
Well, technically, the 26th is the day we were all very confused because I think the president spoke to us on what was then a Monday or Tuesday. And
Yeah.
then he announced on the Thursday lockdown would start. And he said at midnight. No, he said on the 26th. We thought, wait,
That's right.
does that mean
So-
midnight when the day begins?
remember
Or
that.
just when the day ends? Remember that?
We all shut ourselves and we were like, "Oh God, no! We can't leave our houses already." And that's not the story at all.
And we also thought it was going to be
My
21 days.
best part, I've said it before and I will say it again, is
Yes.
when people said, oh, this will only be 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, remember, even the president said that. He said, what, 21 days till we flatten the curve or whatever. And I still see those flatten the curve billboards up somewhere. It's like such bullshit. That never happened.
It
But
did
you know-
happen. What do you mean? Of course it happened.
We carried on. They said there were 21 days to flatten the curve and then we would come
Oh,
back to
I
normal.
see.
They lie.
No. The timing was wrong, but we did flatten the curve.
But look, we weren't wrong for believing that because he didn't say everything would be resolved in 21 days. He said they
No.
were getting themselves equipped, but
And they didn't.
oh well.
They did nothing. Anyway, I mean, look, I don't want to go over old territory, but we're sitting here a year later. Things are considerably not as good for most people, right? Even if you survived, even if you had an okay lockdown, and you've got to be really careful who you say that to because a lot of people suffered horribly during the last year. So you may have your health, you may be alive, but you may have huge problems in your life. You may have massive financial issues. You may have massive relationship issues. You might not have a job anymore. You might not have your family around you anymore. You know, some of them might even have died of COVID. So you're a lot worse off today. And I hate to start Friday on a bad note like this, but it's like a year anniversary and we've got to take stock, you know. And I also think it's important to take stock of who ran things well and who ran things badly in the world. And honestly, Leigh-Ann, the objective truth is we never flattened the curve. That never happened. And you can actually look at the graphs and you'll see it didn't make a goddamn difference at the beginning of lockdown. It was just a knee-jerk response from a government that didn't have any other tools in their basket. They're like a one-trick pony. They could only press on and off. And what they did is switch off. And
Let's not say that it was our government only. I mean, there were governments around the world who didn't know what to do.
Again, and we had this really interesting discussion on the Burning Platform yesterday with Dabiseng Moleko, and there are people like her. She's a doctor at Stellenbosch University Business School, and she's like, she believes that, you know, a capable government is a thing. She and Helen Ziller are the only two true believers in this country. They're like, we can get a capable state. I'm like, no, because we don't have capable people. Not anywhere in the world. Governments are a huge letdown. If you think governments are going to save you, you are in big trouble. And what I love about living in our country, and I'm not being sarcastic at all when I say this, is that actually, if you work really hard and you do everything you can to make yourself as independent as possible of government, you still have to pay tax, you still have to, you know, rely on municipal rubbish collection in most cities and that kind of thing. But the more rural you are, the less dependent on government you are. I'm telling you that this is one of the best places to live if you prefer to look to yourself rather than expect someone to save you. because you can pretty much get away with anything in this country. If you need something and you know someone or you're willing to pay for something, you can get pretty much anything you want done. And I think that's a good thing. We should be celebrating that. That's what freedom tastes like. And I think
that's also what a first world country is like. A third world country is where you've got opportunity for development, and the systems aren't all in place already. You can still play around.
Well,
you can build.
You're absolutely right. And there are advantages to the first world and there are advantages to the third world. But I reckon, would I rather live here or the UK has just gone into another 6-month lockdown? They just enacted a law yesterday.
What? 6 months?
Yep. How's that? Huh? Can you believe it?
Oh man. Okay. So at this point, it's really important to look at the good that's come out of all of this. I'm just amazed how and so pleased with how psychologically people have had to shift their minds. And if you think about workspaces and how those have changed, and the fact that we can work from home, and the fact that we're not wasting time in traffic and in buildings and using so much electricity.
Leigh-Ann, you're 100% right. There are things that we've got to be very grateful for. And, I again, I'm very careful to say this, not too loud, but, I understand that people who listen to the show every day get to hear what's going on in our lives, and we're very open about what's going on in our lives. So I haven't had the worst lockdown. I've enjoyed the fact that I've been able to bring this show to my house and to your house and to Sia's house. And therefore to everyone else's house as well. We've had great guests over the last year. We didn't miss a show. We've been there every single day, which I think was massively important. I've enjoyed that aspect of it, no doubt. I've spent more time with my family than any other year in my life since I left home. I've spent more time with my dog. I've seen a lot of my friends. I've actually done things that I've always thought, I really want to do that. Like, big projects that I've wanted to undertake that I've never been able to do, because you always think, I don't have time and I've got to leave here and I've got to be there and I've got to do this. And so, yes, I hear you. And I think it is a good time to take stock of those things. So let's start the show again, all right? We just pretend that never happened.
Yes.
We're gonna start
okay. All righty.
We are so glad about lockdown.
Just pretend the whole thing wait, we're going to start here. Hey, good morning, everybody. We are in such a good mood this morning, and we have nothing to moan about because we've just realized, exactly, Sia.
Yay!
It's been a year since lockdown, and you know what? Things are okay. We survived.
We're really happy about the changes.
Right. Nobody wanted lockdown. Nobody wanted World War II, but we made it. We're here.
Look at us.
I know. Isn't that great?
I
mean, just to illustrate the point, let me stop this music quickly. To illustrate
the
point.
Wee-wah.
I know. Wee-wah is that you can keep from the intro we didn't do right.
This feels like Groundhog Day.
Sindile says, wah, because we're moaning. Kopano says, stop moaning about COVID. It's Friday. You know what? You're so right. I'm sorry. Look at this. Kopano shitting on us. Okay. And Sindile, wah. And then Meg saying, does Sia regret not buying the Oprah chair and making it into an NFT?
For shame, Sia.
After Sanders explained an NFT to us yesterday, you could have made some money there, my friend.
Shame, Sia.
That's a pure and through regret of mine. And I don't have a lot, if any, in my life. But that is for 4,000 rands.
You could have had it. Someone says, Carol says my mic looks phallic. Well, all mics look phallic. I mean, show me a microphone that doesn't look phallic.
Yours looks more phallic than mine.
Yes, granted.
What does yours look like? What is that? That's like a teacup almost. Leigh-Ann's teacup mic.
I love this show and tell.
We need a new fact about 3N this morning. Says Woody.
Oh yes, it is a Friday.
Oh. Okay, give me a moment. I'll revert. I will revert.
All right. Can I tell you a quick story? I woke up this morning and I went through my usual routine. And I really do feel like I'm becoming one of those old men who has their routines, like my little tea tray with my coffee and my tea and my water and all that shit. But I woke up this morning and I blew my nose because I hate being all tissuey on the show, and I had a nosebleed, and it was like Niagara Falls. I wish I had a tampon around because that's
no.
So luckily I was up pretty early and I managed to put a stop to it. But you have no idea, like, when there are like little drops of blood on the floor in your bathroom and you're like cleaning them up. So it was a mess, man. And
oh my goodness.
I don't know why. I haven't been, I stopped the Coke long ago, Leigh-Ann, and
I know. I mean, you were on it for so many years.
And I haven't been in any fights, so I don't have a deviated septum or anything. But
it's also like a very teenager thing to go through.
So I had no, but it does happen to me from time to time. I think I've got like extremely thin capillaries in my nose because I do get nosebleeds and
capillaries.
So I don't know what that is, but anyway, I got it sorted out on this side, and now seemingly it's fine. Actually, I feel better. So I don't know what.
Okay, I have my fact to share.
Oh, Leigh-Ann fact for a day. Hang on, let me just.
But just be mindful. Be mindful of the fact that it was inspired by either blood, an injury, or nosebleed. So just brace yourself. I wonder where this is going.
It's not.
All right, go.
It's not bloody, but it is inspired by an injury type thing. So I went to a podiatrist many years ago. I've been to many for certain things. I've had wedges put in shoes, and they always make money out of you.
Have you got a Damon Calvari situation with plantar fasciitis?
Yes, I do. I have plantar fasciitis. And it was Damon who actually diagnosed it many years ago, and that was in my right foot. Anyway, that went away with treatment and wearing a boot every night and icing, and all was good. I seem to now have it in the left foot. But anyway, years ago, I went to a podiatrist, and he got me to walk on the treadmill, and it takes a video of your implanted footprint. And they do like a CAT scan on your feet, and oh gosh.
Did you basically go clunk, 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 clunk like that?
No, it was quite smooth. The only thing is, that I walk like a ballerina because from the age of 2.5, I was a ballerina.
Right. No, you do. You walk very beautifully. I only meant to mock you if you have the same problem as Damon, which
no, that's different.
You walk like a goat.
But now it's something that he said to me during that consultation seems to be coming true. So he said to me, you will get repeated plantar fasciitis. The other thing is you've got sort of bunion issues, etc. And he basically said, eventually you will not be able to walk.
Oh, Jesus, that's great.
Leigh-Ann.
No, you just went from a 7 to about a 5. So
so now when I get out of bed, it takes me a while to warm up a bit, and I'm fine with doing that. I mean, I'm like, get up, walk around a bit, limp a bit, it's all fine. But to think that eventually one day I just won't be able to walk.
Oh well, then you and your mom can roll around in wheelchairs together.
They see us rolling.
That's right. No. Yeah, I can see that happening.
What's the sensation like, Leigh-Ann? Is it like a dead leg where you have to almost knock
No,
it
it's painful.
back to health?
It's painful. It's
So what
when an old person gets up from a chair.
Explain it to us. We don't know.
So when an old person gets up from a chair and their first few steps are like, and then they walk fine. It's like that.
You are deteriorating like an old bus.
I know. What am I going to do?
Did he give you any sort of window to work with? As in 15 years' time and 25 years from now and
No,
he just
said, yeah, a lot of it's genetic and you just won't be able to walk one day. So that's where we are, folks.
You know what? You can always
walk while you can.
You can always do this show, and I want you to know that we don't mind if you're in a wheelchair. I mean, Sia's best friends with Meghan Markle's sister, who's in a wheelchair. So
true.
He doesn't discriminate. So neither.
She rolls up on conversations whenever she can. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
thanks.
Well, on this issue, there's such a funny story. So the Mail and Guardian, who that's really the most stupid newspaper in the country, and only because they have a great reputation from the past. In the old days, when they were reporting honestly and openly and in a balanced way about what was going on in the country, particularly, during the transition and before that in apartheid. The Mail and Guardian was a real a flag post, a masthead for honesty and for truth. But it's become the most ridiculous woke newspaper. So apparently they've just appointed a new editor, but they had a show on there. This is just indescribably stupid. I'll tell you how dumb they are and how woke they've become. So apparently, if you can believe this, they've appointed their new editor, but someone was fired because they posted an article. Listen to this. We used the word paralyzed in the Mail and Guardian to describe a politician's inaction, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, how you say analysis paralysis, for example, if someone can't make a decision because they're stuck in analyzing the stuff and they never actually get out of it and they can't act. So
yes.
We all know what the word paralyzed means. So this is a story from one of their writers. We use the word paralyzed in the Mail and Guardian to describe a politician's inaction. Someone raised this today in our newsroom, and we discussed how our words and headlines can lock in ableism. Lesson: we must continually dig into the conscious and subconscious biases that we reflect. So basically, that person either was fired or they were reprimanded for using the word paralyzed. Now, you can go to the dictionary and you can look up the word paralyzed, and it explains that there is a figurative meaning and there's a literal meaning. But because I think this person must be a millennial, and no disrespect to you, Sia, because millennials use the words figurative and literally interchangeably. They don't actually know the difference. I mean, literally means it is actually literally the reality. It means it is 100% true. Whereas figurative
doesn't mean literally, like literally.
It's not like it's not like I literally died.
I can't.
Exactly. So because millennials don't know how literally and figuratively works, they're not sure that paralyzed in this case refers to a figurative metaphor for the way that politicians are sometimes caught in a situation where they don't want to or they can't react. They can't do anything about something. They're just stuck. That happens a lot in politics. So now apparently that word paralyzed is no longer useful. So that part of the dictionary must be blacked out.
I just can't.
So stupid. And really, a publication does itself an enormous injustice when it allows this kind of woke crap to permeate their newsroom, because they become a laughingstock. And I mean, the Mail and Guardian need all the help they can get. They've probably only got about 20,000 subscribers left, and they really need to tidy up what's going on over there. The newly graduated minimum wage wokists who run that place now, honestly, are doing them an enormous disservice, and it's become beyond the pale, really, if you don't mind my saying. I know they're going to attack us back, and they're going to say all kinds of things about it. It'll all become very ad hominem. You'll notice I haven't mentioned any names during this discussion because I don't think that's relevant. I think the subject at hand is relevant. Anyway, I
don't know how you can actually keep your cool with something like this. And usually I'm the one who keeps my cool, but I'm irate about
English
this.
Mage, so you care about language.
Yeah.
He's warming up as well, just like your feet. Well, your legs.
Oh.
Yeah.
How does the Frozen song go?
Let it go. Actually.
Sorry.
There he is.
So we were having technical difficulties.
You were paralyzed for a moment, weren't you?
I was paralyzed, you see, literally paralyzed.
Literally paralyzed.
So I was just saying you're an English major, so to you language matters, and to me language matters. And if we can't communicate, understanding that the language is a basis for that communication, then there is no way for us to interact. We may as well never try to engage with each other, never have a conversation. The rules of language have to be put above our politics. They really do.
I'm going to become a very grumpy old person because of this sort of thing. In a wheelchair. Paralyzed.
The last 3 days, we've had a couple of interruptions like we just had on the show. And it's the first time this has happened. Apparently, I'm not 100% sure, but apparently, because I looked up on these sites that report when an area has internet issues, and there are a lot of them, so I don't even remember which one it was. But apparently MWeb, which is my server for my home internet, apparently they have been having some outages in my area. So I've got to figure that out. Maybe they sorted out over the weekend, but it's not just me experiencing this. So I apologize. Yeah. It's irritating when we have lag.
Hashtag me too. I'm also MWeb. Same thing.
Oh, really?
It's annoying, isn't it?
No. Well, they're usually very good. I mean, I've been on MWeb for years, and I've never had major problems. They've always been really good. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. They're probably just going through some kind of issue. Who knows? Steph, that is why the audio cuts out. Happened a couple of times, and today again. Yes, that is the reason, in case you were wondering. Mary says, our language has been destroyed through this woke culture because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. I suppose Charles Dickens will be bad. Listen, ultimately, you know where this is going to end, right? This craziness about sanitizing everything so that people don't get upset and offended. It's going to end in the banning of pretty much every book, because every book is only... No, it will. I mean, including the Bible. So I really think you've got to fight hard against this, even if you are a non-believer, because this stuff is going to eat away at our culture until we're just robots who speak. Again, I've got to recommend George Orwell's 1984, and I know it's become a bit cliched to mention Orwell because it's such a prescient book in terms of what's going on in the culture now. You have to read that book if you haven't read it before, because what he's talking about is newspeak. Newspeak is, in his book, how he defines the way that people interact with each other and the kinds of words that are allowed and not allowed. I mean, he wrote this in the 1930s, if I'm not absolutely wrong.
He didn't write it in 1984, to be clear.
No, but he was writing about what 1984 would look like in its worst possible totalitarian communist situation. And it's a horrible, horrible book from that point of view. But it does make you go, oh my God, let's guard the things that matter, that we're taking for granted in civilization, because when it's gone, you can't get it back. And unless you are appreciative of it while you're in it, it just disappears. Please, I don't want to make too fine a point on it again, but let's just understand that this is important stuff. And if we start cutting words out, it just becomes ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Leigh-Ann,
Leigh-Ann, put out the flames that are coming out of your ears and nose. I can tell.
So angry.
You're so upset.
I'm facing my bookcases at the moment, and I'm just looking at all the books that in my mind I know would disappear off my shelf if this cancel culture were to continue. And I actually think, you know what, guys, people who are doing this, if you want to focus your energy on one book, the Bible, let's start with that one. And let's see how we go from there. Leave the literary geniuses and everyone else who's written books alone for now, and just start with the Bible.
Can I give you a great Bible verse?
Oh
boy!
I feel like we need to be motivated early in the morning.
Amen.
This Bible verse is a. This is a new thing we're going to start on Fridays. Is Bible verses by non-believers? Okay, but we're going to delve deep and we're going to find something useful here. So,
okay,
I've reformed. I'm not this hectic anti-religious person that I used to be, but I found a great Bible verse that we can all learn from yesterday. So, ladies and gentlemen,
okay,
this is where you need to apply. All right, this is from 2 Kings 2:23 to 24, and the lesson here is really about not being mean to people. Okay. Goes like this. Elisha was walking along a road, or Elisha, I'm not sure if it's Elisha or Elisha. Elisha was walking along a road Some boys yelled, "Get out of here, Baldy." He called on God to curse them. No, look it up. I'm not making this up. There's an actual Bible verse. He called on God to curse them. 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 boys to death.
Wow. Wow, we were.
So that's a great story for you just before the weekend.
Is that the whole thing?
Yes, don't be mean to bald people, because God can summon 2 bears to come out of the woods and maul 42 boys to death. That's a great line.
Because bears understand the word bald.
Bears really care about you.
What was
bears really care about you.
Yes. Leigh-Ann, you messed it up right at the end.
So there's some inspiring.
Bears really care about you.
And then there's a great line, and someone asked this Rickus. He says, which Bible verse says the crippled people won't make it to heaven?
Yes, there is something to that effect.
Wowzers. The Bible is on overdrive, let me tell you.
From my house. Here we're back. So which Bible verse is it? Here it is. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
If your genitals have been damaged, stay out of church. He that is wounded in the stones, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. That's from Deuteronomy 23:1.
Okay.
If you've been wounded in the stones, basically, do not enter the congregation. All right.
So if you're Lance Armstrong, you're fucked, basically. You can't go to church.
Yeah, you've got damaged stones. You can't enter the congregation. No.
I need to talk to my dad about this.
Listen, we got to get to headlines. Let's do this. Now Sia's on the blink. Okay, let's just go into headlines. I don't know how this is working or how it isn't. By the way, if these interruptions become annoying on the YouTube channel, then you can always go to the podcast, because there at least we keep flowing. Everything's good on there. Sorry about this. It's extremely annoying for me as much as it is for you. Boulder's Shopping Center. You know where Boulder's Shopping Center is? I haven't been there in ages. Have you been there for a long time, Leigh-Ann?
Where's that? In Fourways?
Midrand.
But?
Midrand.
Oh, yes.
So apparently Boulder's Shopping Center, the manager there ordered a man dressed in traditional Ndebele attire to leave the mall, and that guy's been suspended. Again, why is this a news story? Why is cancel culture and intolerance the biggest story in the news every fucking day? It's so boring. So apparently,
wow.
Jose Maponyane, understand, there's a black man who said this to another black man. Okay. The center manager of Boulder Shopping Center in Midrand has been suspended by Redefined Properties with immediate effect. Redefined to stand up for your guy. You need to say, I'm terribly sorry. Voucher or whatever, this Ndebele guy. But these things are not worthy of being in the news, and you certainly don't suspend the dude from his job for doing his job. If someone,
but it's also,
if I go to the shops tomorrow in my underpants, okay, and I claim that that's my traditional attire, I walk around a shopping center in my underpants. Do you think that's going to make everybody else in the shopping center comfortable? No. Now, I understand that in this country we think that our personal expression of ourselves and our culture is the most important thing, but this manager was doing his job. And I understand, Ndebele attire is not particularly offensive. To me, it's like a blanket. He's got the porcupine quills in his headdress and all of that stuff. He actually looks quite interesting to me. But you can't have a shopping mall with a manager. You've empowered the guy who's running it, this Mr. Maponyane. You've empowered him to run the shopping mall for you. You can't then fire him because he made a bad decision. What you do is you organize for a meeting between this guy in the Ndebele clothing and Mr. Maponyane, and you sit them down and you say, guys, let's show the rest of the country how you resolve things. You talk about it. Here's my feelings. Here's your feelings. Let's get it sorted out. And we come to an arrangement. Here's your shopping voucher. Here's a gift voucher of 200 Rand for the guy in the Ndebele outfit because his feelings are so hurt, right? and the other guy, Mr. Maponyane, says, I'm terribly sorry to him in person. Why does this have to involve the rest of us?
But that's not how it works, particularly in 2021, where at any point of conflict, a phone is out and is recording, and then there's a crowd around spurring people on, and then we'll go onto social media, and then Redefine Properties is now stuck going, well, what do we do about trending on social media, because that's very important these days. And then it goes into the news, and then we'll go into a cycle, and that is how we end up talking about it for days on end.
Stupid. It's such a waste of our time. We should be trying to find ways to get to Mars like Elon Musk is. We should be solving the problems we really have, the big problems that affect people's lives. This one guy in his Ndebele outfit at Boulder's shopping center. I mean, first of all, let me ask you this. I mean, you're allowed to dress any way you like. Some people dress, in my opinion, extremely well, and some people dress extremely badly. But we all know, like, if you dress like a freak show, and I'm not by any means saying that this Ndebele guy was dressing like a freak show, but if you do, expect to be treated like a freak show. Your own personal expression in the way you dress is not always acceptable to every venue that you find yourself in.
Yeah, and some people ride off of this. If you look at an extreme goth, for instance, who has body piercings all over and heavy makeup, they want to be looked at and noticed. They've done it for a reason.
This person who clearly doesn't come from, the far northeast of the country, this person decided to get dressed that morning, and I'm going to go and do my shopping in my traditional outfit. Expect to get looked at. Expect to be treated differently. You're in an urban area. You're in a shopping mall with other people. What did you think was going to happen? It was just going to be totally normal? Then why bother dressing up? You wanted a reaction. No one addresses this. They immediately look at the shopping center manager and they blame him. And all I can say in this situation is, thank God it was a black man, because if it was a white man, he'd also be accused of racism.
Yeah.
But don't worry about cancel culture and getting so stressed in the morning. At least in the 21st century, we have shows like The Masked Singer, so that's what we have to look forward to.
That's true. That's a good show, actually.
I was just thinking.
I was being sarcastic. Sorry.
Good show.
I was thinking the other day, when the way we used to say, "Oh, the killings of summer '94," or these days in '98, we do this and this. When are we going to get over saying 2021? When are we going to just revert to 21?
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point, because we've been saying it for a long time now.
For 20 years.
Okay, so the Hawks raided 3 Fort Hare University campuses as part of a fraud probe. The crime-busting unit raided several locations in Bishu, East London, and Alice as they probed student admission fraud, corruption, and money laundering, allegedly by a fugitive professor called Edwin Ijeoma. A fugitive professor. How's that? That's exciting stuff, I'll tell you what. The Hawks have done all these raids. They're looking into the fraud, and they have decided that this guy is accused of irregularly registering students, including the Eastern Cape Premier's child, and scamming the university out of 5 million rand for sketchy and unauthorized academic programs for the provincial government. I've got to say, again, the Eastern Cape never, ever wins anything. They're always the most stupid province in South Africa, with a possible exception occasionally of the Northern Cape. But that's only because the Northern Cape have about 5 people in it. So Eastern Cape, well done. Again, you're making absolutely sure that the gap between you as the most corrupt province and the next most corrupt province is wide. And the Eastern Cape does the best work it can to keep winning the corruption game. Congratulations to everyone in the Eastern Cape. You guys are the pride and joy of the country. We're all extremely proud of you. Well done. SAA have received 7.8 billion rand. How would you like to wake up in the morning and see your account and go, wow, there's 7.8 billion rand. I have been spending up a storm, and I'm so far in debt, and I'm in huge trouble, and I'll probably never, ever make it out of this hole. But look at that. Someone just gave me 7.8 billion rand.
Delightful.
Must be nice. So apparently, this is for implementation of their business rescue plan. The funds were earmarked for the airline's restructuring while it underwent a business rescue process. The SAA business rescue practitioners on Thursday briefed Parliament's finance watchdog, SCOPA. They say they should be completing the rescue process in the next few weeks. You can't rescue something that's dead. You can't you can't resuscitate. By the way, did you hear the story that's big news in aviation at the moment about SAA, who sent a plane over to Belgium to collect a whole bunch of vaccines for us, and they broke 2 or 3 of the most important rules in aviation about underestimating or overestimating the weight of your plane. And they made a noise over Brussels because they didn't take off at the right trajectory, blah, blah, blah. The pilots, whom the government decided needed to be our 2 black pilots in order to make a political statement, are likely to be, what's the word? I suppose debarred in some way. In law, they use the term debarred, but they're effectively going to be thrown out of their jobs because they've broken these rules, which
that's embarrassing,
are hugely egregious in international travel and in international aviation. And I don't know all the details of this, but it was quite a big story, and it's embarrassing. So it sort of disappeared from the headlines as quickly as it came in. But apparently these pilots are now in huge trouble, and SAA are in big trouble. And all of this happened because they were making a big statement about, SAA is still alive, which it isn't. Here are our best black pilots, which they're not. And they're going to go and fetch vaccines, which they did, but they broke every rule on the way. So it's all very embarrassing. You've got to be careful what you decide to politicize, because when it turns on you, it can really make you look cool. Just saying, government, well done. Another huge, colossal clusterfuck on government's balance sheet.
Yeah.
And then that Suez blockage that we heard about on Tuesday morning.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. That has, it's holding up $9.6 billion of goods a day. A day. Now, I wonder if they're going to sue that shipping company.
Well, Suez them.
So, it's called the Ever Given mega container ship, right? And it is stranded in the Suez Canal. It's holding up $9.6 billion of goods a day, according to shipping data. Works out at $400 million an hour in trade along the waterway. Data from shipping expert Lloyd's values the canal's westbound traffic at roughly $5.1 billion a day, and eastbound traffic at $4.5 billion a day. Despite efforts to free the ship, it could take weeks to remove.
Oh, ouch.
What a mess. Now you think you think you've got bad luck if you're a pilot on SAA who gets caught breaking rules. Imagine how this person who was piloting this boat must feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, I still want to know how it happened. It's in such an awkward position. That was like it was as if they were trying to do like a 3-point turn, and then it just went badly.
I was reading an article on how many steps it takes to move a ship out of the area. And it's actually, when you read it, you think to yourself, okay, I can understand how a mistake could have happened. There are millions of rules to follow. So, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, LB says, time to use them old shipping lanes around South Africa again. I think that's probably what a lot of them are going to have to do. Mary says, Mary's very vocal this morning. I like this. Mary, keep it coming. Of course, the government has decided to use the infrastructure money that would be taken from pensions for paying civil servants. Go figure. Of course. This is what I was talking to Tubby Singh about yesterday on the Burning Platform, and you've got to listen to it if you missed it for any reason. Winnie says, only heard your last thing about the mall. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But Winnie does say, they wanted our reactions, man. And as blacks, what are we meant to go? Looks like it was planned to me anyway. This is talking about the Ndebele outfit. But you see, people are, if it was planned, if it's someone who actually planned to get into the headlines, then what we've got to do is we've got to stop reacting to this stuff. Don't click on the story. Don't put it on the news. Stop making it an issue.
Who would have planned it? No one is coming out of that looking good.
I don't mean like a conspiracy theory. I just mean that maybe the person who dressed up decided, now I'm going to get into the news today by finding a place. He probably went to 3 or 4 places where they didn't throw him out. And eventually this guy at the Boulders was like, no, you can't come in like that. You know, are we going to get to the point where if you go to a restaurant or a nightclub or a bar or whatever where there's a dress code and someone pitches up in their underwear, that they can make a big stink about how, but you know, how come I'm not allowed in this? Everything, including pretty much all the public spaces that there are, have some kind of dress code. They have some kind of, you know, mandate for what you are and aren't allowed to get away with. So I don't know.
Well, there's also the rights of admission is reserved policy.
It's true. I don't know though.
Some people were saying.
You know, I mean, you have the right to serve any customer you decide to and not serve any customer you don't want to. But that might eventually change.
It reminds me once of when a friend of mine and I went day drinking.
Ooh.
And
always a bad idea.
it starts like that and then went horrible. And it was one of those drinking experiences where you don't realize how sloshed and out of your mind you are. And by the time it was about 7 p.m., we thought, oh, we're quite hungry. So let's actually go somewhere civilized and sit down and eat. And I'm talking about like a place with tablecloths and, you know, somewhere nice and fancy. And
only kinds of places you eat at, Sia.
Excuse me. And as we're about to walk in, the staff goes, excuse me, no, sorry, you can't come in. And in my mind, I thought I was very direct and frank, but I'm assuming I was probably slurring and stumbling. I'm like, okay, come on, guys, we just want to eat. And he goes, no, we can't let you in.
What were you wearing?
Let you in looking like that. And I'll save it for the end because we're like so annoyed, like, how dare you do this to us? And we order our Uber. And you know what? You will hear from us on Monday. We get into the Uber. And as we're sobering up on the way home, we have spilled our drinks on our t-shirts. Someone had like stumbled somewhere. So there's a bit of like mud on the pants.
Oh no.
And I'm so glad they kicked us out. You know, they banned us from even going in. Would have been horrible.
God, yeah.
These stumbling, stuttering things with like drink patches on their t-shirts.
Sometimes when you do go out during the day and then you decide to go out for dinner in the evening and you're wearing like daytime clothes, you know, shorts or whatever, some places won't let you in. I've been turned away from places before, and I suppose that's their right. It's annoying for you if you're the customer, but
I think men suffer the most in this situation.
Yeah, you girls, the rules are a little bit more gray, not so white, you know. All right. So Leigh-Ann's got a horrifying story. We love animal stories on the show. And an absolutely terrifying story that she's going to share with us today. Go ahead, Leigh-Ann.
Okay, so who do you think would win between a crocodile and a shark? And I mean, it's not often that these two creatures come into contact. You know, maybe in a tributary of a river where it's close to the sea. But, you know, these things happen in Australia, of course. And of course, in Australia, it's the biggest crocodile you've ever seen. So, yeah, I don't know if you've got some pictures to share there. But this enormous crocodile, yeah.
It sounds like such a hypothetical situation. You know, it's something like almost two teenage boys would be talking about, like, yeah, so if there was a shark and there was a crocodile, like, who would win? And then, well,
I'll be the shark, you be the crocodile. Yeah. I mean...
Let me just say that if you can't see these pictures because you're listening to it now, the crocodile is substantially bigger than the shark. All right, the shark is probably the length of the crocodile's head. So it's obvious which one's going to win in this case.
Yeah,
it's going to be the crocodile, right?
So what always amazes me with this is how on earth the photographer captured these moments, and to think that these things happen around us all the time. We just don't see them. Yeah. So it's amazing. It's a privilege to be able to see something like this.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a photographer who was filming some crocs further up the river, and then happened to see some action and swiveled his camera over and caught this moment. I mean, you think to yourself, this happened in 3 or 4 seconds, and he caught it. It's just amazing. That's my favorite part of the story. But yes, this crocodile basically swallows an entire shark.
It lifts its head up. The shark is trying to jump through the crocodile's jaws, which are open, and the crocodile kind of repositions itself really quickly, and the basically the shark just dives down its throat. It's pretty awful. I mean,
whee!
That is so scary.
But yeah, to see 2 horrible beasts fighting it out is just something. But crocodile's jaws, of course, are much stronger than a shark's.
Oh yeah. No, listen. I wouldn't want to meet. Frankly, I don't have a huge inclination to meet either of those creatures in any water. I would prefer not to, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I suppose if you're in that situation, hopefully the crocodile and shark are at each other and leaving you alone.
Well, Kelly says that shark looks tiny, like a baby shark. Do. It's a nice one, Kelly. LB says South Africa's lucky it doesn't have the canals like in Oz, where the sharks and crocs swim up from the sea.
Yes.
You get salt water.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Freshwater crocodiles, and
yeah,
I don't like either of them, frankly. I think the saltwater ones get much bigger than the freshwater ones.
What makes you say that?
No, that's what I remember hearing about them on some national.
Yeah, and because their environment is bigger, so it's like putting a plant in a pot. It'll only grow as big as the pot, unless you plant it in the ground.
Well,
am I right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that how short people happen?
Yes, we were raised in jars, Gareth.
Is that you guys get like a terrarium when you're little, and you have to stay in your terrarium?
Yes, our parents put us in with the turtles.
Yeah, I knew there was something about you short people. I've always wondered. Saltwater.
Did they put you in a long? Did they put you in a long glass straw when you were growing up?
My mother always used to say, "Oh, you're getting so tall. It's like you growing up in the long drop. We dropped you in the long drop, and you just had to grow tall."
Oh, that's comforting.
Especially when we didn't have a long drop. Do you know how scared I was as a child? I was like, "There's a hidden long drop somewhere."
Oh my gosh, your parents were just building you guys up.
No, it's full of love, so much love. All right, so we've got coming up in a little while, because Fridays are always nice and busy. But what I like about Fridays is that when George Meany comes on, it's like you can really start your weekend. And I have no solid plans for the weekend yet. I'm going to keep it completely open. I have one thing that is quite exciting. We're all as a family going to have curry on Sunday, and my sister's boyfriend.
Curry.
He's going to make a butter chicken, which is awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, since when do I look forward to a meal? You must know how good it is if I actually even talk about a meal that's still coming away. What, 3 days away? 2-3 days?
Well, doesn't the weather permit?
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
It was so miserable yesterday. I was inside the whole time because it was drizzling and raining in the morning. And it was grey. I was saying to Sia at the start of the show, it was like Vancouver or, Britain.
And let's just be clear, this is Johannesburg, because Cape Town was amazing yesterday.
Apparently.
So I heard as well.
God, I need to get to Cape Town, man. I haven't been there in a year and a half now. I'm starting to withdraw. It's always a fun place to be. And actually, it goes for Durban, Sia, where you are, except you guys had shit weather yesterday too. But I miss KZN.
What is it looking like? Oh yeah, it's still raining and still grey.
Sia, do you go to the beach at all when you're there?
I do, And I was actually planning to as well later today, but it's so horrible. I think I'll give it a skip, and I'm so disappointed.
Gosh, I miss the sea. Oh, I miss sand and the sea and the smell of the ocean. It's been what? Yeah, 2.5 years now.
It's been such a long time since we did any traveling. Since the days of COVID, we haven't really left the neighborhood. It's very sad. It's very difficult for us.
Can I tell you something loserish, though? And it has just so happened that so many people, about 3 people, have called me out on this because it's sad. I have used my passport now for so many chances where they need identification, including just flying down here. I could very well use my driver's license or my ID, but I'm like, this is the closest I'll get to using it. Something got delivered to the house a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, here I am with my passport. The delivery guy was like, okay, so this is unnecessary, but okay.
My passport was stolen along with a lot of the contents of my handbag about 2 years ago. And I keep wondering, can people do something with it?
Well, they can pretend to be you, I suppose.
And what? Travel?
Well, I mean, I have to look like you for starters. If they don't look like you, that's going to be kind of obvious that it's not Leigh-Ann Mole.
They could put another picture in there. That happens.
Oh, that's a good point. You could do that, right?
Oh, and then commit crimes as Leigh-Ann.
Oh my word! Oh my word!
Oh, this is not the anxiety Leigh-Ann needs.
No, and I'm not so sure. This is why our passports are regarded with great suspicion all over. Suspicion? Did you hear that? All over the world.
Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Gee, I really
must I carry on?
Yes, I was waiting for it, Leigh-Ann.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Even when we're not on the show, I say that word with trepidation because I always expect to hear you pop out and go, "Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious." So I'll be in a conversation with someone in a business meeting, and I'll say, that's kind of suspicious. And I'll stop myself. Leigh-Ann's gonna come in and start singing this song.
I did pop my head into the room and go, "Don't be suspicious."
That's great conditioning.
Yeah, I'm telling you, every time I use the word now, I'm extremely careful. I'm nervous. I never know what's going to happen. All right. So when we come back, we'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff, including Suez just discovered a brand new show on TV, which he wants to share with us. And we're going to talk about, so many things. The luckiest man on earth. And I went shopping for something very specific this week, which I'll tell you about as well. So loads of things to talk about. Stick around, cliffcentral.com. We're here to keep you company this Friday morning. Make sure that you get in contact with us. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Email me directly, Gareth@cliffcentral.com. You can message us on YouTube live with the comments that we're getting from people this morning. You can also send us a WhatsApp on 0797482090 or, shout really loud and we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Perfectly sensible. All right, we'll be back in a minute.
The Bitcoin market can be unpredictable. Instead, invest in a great economic quarter by using a bit of your coin to get a Nando's quarter chicken and any single side for only 49 Rand. Nando's. Fire it up.
Round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain. Coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. Here she comes. Driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses. Driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. chicken and dumplings when she comes. We will all have chicken and dumplings. We'll all have chicken and dumplings. We'll all have chicken and dumplings when she comes.
The world's apex predators have fearsome reputations, so it's hard to believe that some of them are facing a fight for survival.
In Gansbaai and Valsbaai, white sharks are almost completely disappeared.
Blind Conservation is the story of these endangered predators. In our first episodes, we speak to global experts about the alarming plight of the great white shark.
Each shark that lives out there, one day out of 4 days, it can be killed.
And what you can do to help one of nature's most magnificent creatures survive for future generations. Join me, Spike Valentine, and my co-host, Anthony Mederer, for Blind Conservation, available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's a lot to discuss that happened during that break, actually. First of all, I don't know if you've listened to Blind Conservation, but there's something very funny in that promo that Spike put together. It's a new series that we're doing about the great white shark, right? Interestingly, we were talking about sharks just earlier, but there's an Italian guy in the promo, and he goes, what do you got to know about the sharky? He get killed very, very many times. 1 out of 4 great sharky get killed. It's hilarious. It's like the funniest thing. That's honestly how he sounds. So that's the first thing. The second thing...
Yeah.
No,
Go on.
No, you.
I was going to point out the song, and apologies to anyone who didn't hear it, but they missed out the most fun part of that song.
All right,
which
so the
is
song
singing
was,
"Aye, yippee, yippee, yay."
Yeah. Okay, so that song called "She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain When She Comes." Right? It's like an old Western. It's like an old Western kind of. I suppose you could call it a troubadour's song. It's the kind of song that they used to sing. Passing fairs would go through different towns and they'd sing this song and be banjo players and all that kind of shit. So I don't know how that song got on there, but someone's going to be fired.
Oh, no. That escalated very quickly.
She comes. Really? We're going to be singing that this Friday morning? And that's going to be stuck in your head all day now if you did hear it.
Good point.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I missed all of this because I give myself the daily challenge every day during the break to see how much I can squeeze in 3 minutes. And it's like, it's a bit of a competitive thing of mine. Every day I come back to my screen. I'm like, today was 46 seconds to spare. And I thought, look at you, Michael Schumacher. You did it.
That's what I miss about traditional TV in the day when we had commercial breaks. I used to do that. I would see how quickly I could, clear up the dishes from dinner or turn down the bed, or, it was fun while it lasted.
I love efficiency, so I would also do that. I would use the commercial break to see how much I could get done in it. No matter how stupid that thing was, I felt like I'd achieved more than the average person because I'd used that time effectively, instead of just sitting there watching commercials. My God, there are some terrible commercials on TV these days. Terrible, terrible commercials. And I have to say this. I mean, I've gone at them before, but, really, like Outsurance, I didn't hate them before. I thought they were quite a good insurance company, and they have a good reputation, and I don't have any beef with them, but those ads make me hate them.
Oh,
such horrible ads. They're so
Is
horrible.
it not because of the repetitiveness as well?
No, but I mean, they've got two versions of, I think they've got two, I don't know how many, because they advertise so much. They've got the ones with Ilana Africa, and then she jumps out of like places and starts frightening people with financial advice.
The same way Leigh-Ann jumps out when she hears the word suspicious.
The word suspicious.
Or Christians on a, when they want to tell you about the Lord Jesus.
Suspicious.
Oh, don't be suspicious.
Now, you see, you got to be on the ball there. Anyway, so there are those Ilana Africa ones, but then there are those ones where they have clients of theirs who are driving around and they've got someone who sold them the insurance, telling everybody else, all of us, how great our insurance are. It's so horrible. It's so.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be so annoyed because there's a third version then that you clearly haven't seen. That's also started. So, oops, you have something to look forward to.
What is the third version? Help me. Give me something to look forward to. Go on, Sia. I'm so excited.
I can't believe we're talking about this. The one I saw is a couple who's just got married. So I assume it's their wedding night, and they're in their room, and then out of nowhere, this guy pops up who says, "Oh, well, you just got married, something, 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 your life cover. And do you know that you can get your life cover for X amount and you can get yours for X amount?" And insurance.
See, now I never had a problem with them. In fact, I would have probably chosen OutSurance once. And we're talking about them now. So obviously it works. If you just want attention, you get it. And I'm not singling them out here. It's just that they advertise way more than almost anyone else in South Africa, which I think, again, is to their credit. If you're out there as much as they are, you're going to get talked about. It's just that those ads irritate me so much that I find myself like driving past OutSurance going, "Urgh," or when I see their banner, I've developed this weird, it's like an autonomic reaction that just, like, I'm so put off by them because those ads irritate me so much. So I'm not sure it's working anymore on people like me. There may be people that it still works on, so don't stop. Don't do anything different on my account, but I hate them.
Also, please lump YouTube ads into this as well, because there is one in particular. I don't even know the brand because I always cringe so much when it comes on. It's the most off-putting and disgusting commercial I've seen. It's some sort of...
What is it?
It really is disgusting, and I don't know why they thought this imagery would work. It is some product for gum bleeding.
Oh, Meridol. Yes. Okay, so I know.
Yeah, I knew exactly what it was. Meridol.
And just and to explain the ad, it's literally a woman who has her mouth open, exposing her bloody gums. That is just a static image with some piano music in the back. Ugh.
On the toothbrush, they've got like, bloody toothpaste with a drop of blood. It's so bad.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And it's all about help inflammable gums. Now available at Clicks. But it puts me off. I actually have to put my thumb over that toothbrush when it comes up. I mean, I'm the worst. I'm the worst when it comes to toothbrushes at the best of times and drains. Like at the moment, I've got 2 basins in my bathroom, and one of them is becoming a little bit clogged. So when you spit out your stuff when you're brushing your teeth, it swirls around in the water a bit.
Can we just move on? I don't know how this became so disgusting, but
blame it on adverts.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's just talk about this quickly, because there's so much fake news going around about people bringing in government making another liquor lockdown, a booze ban, basically over Easter. There's a lot of talk of that at the moment. People are talking about how we're going to level 2 again, and most of it is bullshit fake news. There's been no announcement by government. There's been no intimation from them that there's going to be any change at all. So it's all pure speculation. And it seems to me, again, it's the sort of people who the whole way through lockdown were sending around these messages about like doom and gloom heading our way,
I mean, like, who does this? The only people I can think of doing this are like bottle stores. And could it be as big as these chain stores? I'm not sure. And what are they going to gain? I mean, people are just going to buy booze and stock up on it. And, I mean, there's only so much we can drink. I mean, even I could give it a good go, but I'm not going to put a dent in their stock.
Just again, I mean, like you can't take these messages that come on WhatsApp seriously from people about how this is going to happen or that's going to happen. We surely you've learned your lesson by now. These people are like
so. In this case, it was a tweet on that was being shared, and it's on the official South African Police Service letterhead. And it said liquor establishments that continue to sell alcohol after March the 25th will lose their trading licenses. And that is complete fake news. And then there was a government one as well, where they've got a picture of Cyril Ramaphosa on a background which says from midnight on Thursday, the 26th of March until midnight on Thursday, the 16th of April, all South Africans will have to stay at home. And that's been labeled as fake. The government has confirmed that is fake.
Right. Well, you see, they wouldn't confirm it if they were still thinking about it now. They wouldn't come out and confirm that as fake. They'd say, there hasn't been an announcement yet. They'd create some space for themselves. So I don't think. How many times have they closed things irrationally and for longer than expected? It will always cause doubt and confusion. Well, Daniel makes a very good point here, because one of the reasons that we're all so suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Oh, I'm suspicious now.
We're suspicious of Gareth's freezing and disappearance.
Sorry.
And then mystical reappearance. There he is.
So what happens is that this is one hell of a way to boost the YouTube audience, because the people who are listening to us on cliffcentral.com or on the app or on podcast, they're going to hear me. They're not going to hear you two when that happens. But the people on YouTube are going to hear you two. So there are two different conversations going on. And you'd have to listen to both to know what Leigh-Ann and Stina are saying about me behind my back and what I'm saying about you behind yours.
You get more bang for your buck. Technically, like 2 shows in one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in fact, we should use, whenever the screen freezes on your side, you should start gossiping about me, and I will start talking about you two when it freezes on my side. How about that?
Or we'll just squeeze in a random story in like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
See?
All right.
So you have to listen to both.
So there's another thing that we need to discuss this morning, and this has to do with the luckiest person in the world, according to C.S. Sangweni anyway. So tell us who this person is and how you came upon this story. What is it all about?
I'm so envious of him. Like, this is
again.
Have we?
We're fine on our side. So now we can talk about Gareth, apparently.
Hello.
Yes,
no, he's back.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
Are you? See ya.
I'm back. I can hear
sorry,
you.
Did you hear that?
I can hear Leigh-Ann. Oh.
So why don't you go on with your story?
What is happening today? Okay, yeah, we lost Gareth. Okay. Should I just carry on then, Leigh-Ann?
Just carry on.
Yes, I want to hear about this guy.
Okay, so the man who I now deem probably the luckiest man in the world is Nick Slatton. He is from Tennessee, and he won more than $1 million in their state lottery. And he nearly missed out on it because he lost his ticket. And then randomly, a little later, he found that ticket in a parking lot. What are the freaking chances?
Oh my God. So you're telling
right?
No.
So he lost and found his own ticket. In other words, he didn't find someone else's lottery ticket. He found his own that he had lost, that he knew he'd lost, and he had to look for it.
Yes.
And how
So
many?
neither did someone else find his ticket.
Yo, what are the chances?
How much was the winning?
The winning all in all was $1.178 million.
Wow, that's fantastic. My God.
So I mean, if anyone else found that ticket, they could have claimed it themselves, right?
Yeah, and that's why now the state lottery has come out with this reinforcing their warning to say, we always tell people, if you enter the lotto and you have your ticket, sign it or put your name on it or something to prove that it's yours, even before you know you've won or not, just so that you have that certainty. Because if it was anybody else who had picked it up, they could have gone in and cashed it out.
Well, I stopped buying lottery tickets when we stopped advertising those ones with the guys from what was it, Lottoland, yeah. And but I did win little amounts. I never won a big amount. Otherwise, you guys would never have heard from me again. But it went okay. I mean, like, I enjoyed the process. But I'm not one of those people who gets addicted to gambling. I'm not one of those people who gets addicted to most things. So I just move on. I get bored quickly and then I move on. But it's maybe time, especially when I see those really big jackpots. I get really excited and then I win because I just imagine myself winning and all the things I would do with the money.
How many problems it would solve?
Oh my God, so many.
Look, 1.1 million is a very pretty penny, and at least this Nick guy sounds reasonable and sensible. He has a fiance, and he says they're planning on buying a home and better cars, and they'll just invest the rest. And they say that they'll carry on working.
Tracy says winners know when to stop. That's exactly right. Robert says, a good podcast to listen to after the show today is the most recent episode of Criminal. It's about a guy who was able to reprogram the lotto system in his favor for years.
Ooh.
Oh, that's clever. That's really, really clever. Woody says he once won a gaming competition. About 10 years ago in a gaming competition. The prizes for first place were $300, second was $200, third was $150, fourth $50, and so on. And the last places were like 25 Bitcoins. Can you guess who the real winners were? Oh, my God. Imagine you got 25 Bitcoins. I'll tell you what that's worth now.
10 years ago.
Jesus. All right, so if you got 25 Bitcoins, each Bitcoin is now worth $52,700, let's say.
Oh, Gareth is doing calculations.
That's $1.3 million. So that's about 19 million Rand.
Oh my word!
If you won 8th place in that gaming competition that Woody's talking about, you would have had, if you got 25 Bitcoins for 8th place, you would have got 19 million Rand now if you just held on to them. Unbelievable. Leigh-Ann, you've just frozen, but your one eye is closed and your one eye is open. Really, really drunk.
I thought she was listening intently. Then
that was such a good look for you. This is hilarious. You see, the internet really has opened up new avenues for it.
Forever entertained.
I hate and I love the internet. Goodness.
How did one eye end up closed? I mean, when I blink both of them.
No, clearly not at the same time.
You clearly have some chameleon qualities.
Leigh-Ann was going. Wouldn't it be horrible? Because YouTube takes these pictures at random. Somewhere at the start of the show, they take. Imagine if it froze. Let's all pull an ugly face right now. Hang on, let's do this. All right, are you ready?
Okay.
Hang on, everybody. Okay, pull the ugliest face you can. 1, 2, 3, go.
Aha.
You're frozen, so it's not fair. I'm not doing it.
Did Gareth plan this at this time?
Possibly.
And
so that he would look the most normal.
Don't look at. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed it.
Oh Lord.
Do you want to try again?
So Gareth, yeah, because you disappeared from our side and you looked normal, and the two of us were pulling faces, so it was very unfair.
I had the opposite. Let's try one more time, and then we'll put this picture up on.
Wait, I need to knock it off so that it works.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh.
Beautiful. What sexy people. How could anyone not want to listen to us?
How old are we?
Hava.
if we're lucky, we've got the combined mental age of a 12-year-old.
I remember once.
I know 12-year-olds, and they're cleverer than us.
This all makes sense. It was last year, that long stretch of lockdown, and my aunt was here. She stayed overnight, and after I was done with the show, I walked downstairs, and she says, "Okay, so that's what you do at work." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, you guys just make noise and noise and noise, and look at us now."
We do. We just make a noise.
I can't actually dispute it.
No. If anybody asks, what do you do for a living? I just make a noise. That's my thing.
It's so true. I mean, we basically, we fill dead air with stuff, any stuff.
Says you wake up every morning and just make noise.
So I went to the shops on Tuesday, but it was a different kind of shopping experience. I went with my dad and my sister's boyfriend, and the three of us went to go and look at guns. Because we're all like firearm. Oh yeah, no, we're all firearm men. Yeah,
I've never driven past a gun shop or seen an advert.
Oh, no, there are lots of
really?
good gun shops. Yeah. Well, you kind of have to know people who are in the know, because unless you're in that world, why would you bother? You wouldn't go near a gun shop. They're all heavily fortified. I mean, they've all got like bars, because you can imagine criminals would target gun shops in order to get more guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're all, and the people who run them are tremendously responsible, because they have to be. All the weapons that are kept on the premises, they have on a register, and if anything happens to those, they can be shut down at any moment. So they're really very careful people. And we went and looked at a bunch of guns. My dad wants a shotgun, and my James wants a handgun, and I wanted a rifle. And so we were looking at them.
I don't know the difference between a rifle and a gun.
Okay, so a handgun is one of those little ones, like a pistol.
Yeah, like a Glock. A Glock, bro.
You basically, you're meant to be able to hold it in one hand with your arm outstretched. Most people, obviously, who don't shoot, think that that's how you shoot, because they see that in the movies. But really, you have to put the one hand in the other when you shoot a handgun in order to be...
Gareth, pardon if this is also like a silly question, but does the size of the gun also somewhat indicate the distance the bullet travels?
Well, this is why you want rifles, and so they all operate differently. A handgun, depending on its caliber, you get a 9mm handgun, which is the one that most people know. Like a Glock, for example, is a 9mm. 9mm refers to the caliber of the bullets in there. And they call them rounds, not bullets. So a handgun...
I love rounds. Sorry.
A handgun's usually used for self-defense, but you can also use them in sports shooting, and there are a number of different things that you could apply the use of handguns to. Then you get a shotgun, which is really only for game bird shooting or for clay pigeon shooting or that kind of thing. You can obviously shoot some game as well.
So why, sorry to interrupt, but why would you not use a handgun, for instance?
No, you couldn't use a handgun because you might not be able to. First of all, shooting a bird, the reason it's called a shotgun is contains a whole lot of lead shot in the actual pellet, right, in the round. So the shot is the small little balls of lead that are stuffed behind a piece of cotton, usually, with the primer and the charger at the other end. And a shotgun is used for shooting things because it gives you a spray. It gives you an area about as big as, let's say, maybe a plate, depending on how far you are. A plate to the size of a large tray, in terms of your pattern that it gives you, and it sprays that shot in that area over a certain distance. Okay. So you'll use that for very specific purposes. And a shotgun has those pellets. They look different to a normal bullet. They don't have a sharp end, if you know what I mean. It's wadded. And then you've got a rifle, which takes usually a longer, much more streamlined bullet. A rifle shoots much, much further, and it's called a rifle because of the rifling, the actual way that the metal is machined inside the barrel, because that rifling gives you enormous distance and speed when you fire it. So the difference between a handgun, rifle, and a shotgun is what I've just explained now. You also get you get carbines, some of these guns are gas propelled, the gas inside the bullet. Some of them are much more mechanical. You get very old guns that are more traditionally made, and very fine ones, by the way, that command enormous prices at secondhand auctions and so on. And then you get brand new guns, like they're producing just tons and tons of them in the US. Turkey has apparently become one of the biggest gun manufacturing countries in the world. So we just went to look,
Sure.
and it's amazing what you can actually get these days. I mean, there's a shotgun with a magazine. In other words, normally with a shotgun, you have to load.
What, like the Cosmo?
Yeah, like the Cosmo. I'm surprised you don't know more about guns, having been from the South. But they've got a shotgun now that actually it's like a semi-automatic shotgun. So you can load a whole bunch of rounds into a magazine, plug it into the bottom of the gun, and you can shoot shotgun rounds like you would a rifle. It's unbelievable. And that's not the kind of thing that was available 10 years ago.
Hectic.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of people are very scared of guns. So I'm always careful who I share this information with, because it upsets some people. They think, oh, it means you're a dangerous person or whatever. But I think, we live in a very strange world where some people think of guns as being something attached to crime and murder and danger and all that stuff. And other people look at guns and they go, this is something I enjoy to do over the weekend. I go to the range, or I like shooting targets, or I like shooting clay pigeons. They don't necessarily even hunt, and they only use their guns when they go to places like that, right?
Random. What's like the price range of a gun? What is an entry level? I live alone, just want something for self-protection, versus like the Bentley of all guns. What are you looking at in terms of price?
Well, I mean, in terms of shotguns, you can get a good shotgun for 30 grand, like a really nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Over and under means the two barrels are on top of each other, or you get the side by side, right? There's always got two barrels in a shotgun. Well, mostly. And those can be 30 grand. And then you get like Purdy's or Holland & Holland, which are made in matched pairs in England and are the most beautiful guns. They've got silver scroll work on the metal. They've got wooden stocks that are from like aged oak. It's just unbelievable craftsmanship. Those can cost you a couple of million rand for a pair. Really
Why did I instantly think of a brilliant movie plot based on a Purdy? Okay. These Purdy's are made in a pair, and they are gifted to twins when they are young.
Yes,
the
I like
twins
this.
End up not liking each other. And the whole thing is one twin is hunting down the other to shoot down with the Purdy. And what will happen at the end? Will they kill each other with these bestowed Purdy's? Will they love each other again? You'll have to see if Steven Spielberg finances my idea.
Well, when Sia eventually sells this very rough movie plot to Spielberg, he's going to be a billionaire. It's going to be great. Sia.
The Purdy pairs.
It was just cool because there's this whole world. And remember that the shooting community is enormous in South Africa. There are lots and lots of people with guns, and many of them are. I've got one friend he's a champion sports shooter. So he does those courses as like obstacle courses where he has to fire at targets and things, and he's phenomenal. I mean, like the guy can hit the bullseye every single time, and he practices every weekend. It's just unreal. Like, it's a really, really incredible thing to watch. And I think that if you are conditioned young to understanding and respecting guns, because it's really important that you respect them, then you're never really afraid of them. And unfortunately, when we think of crime, we think of guns, and there's so many bad people who do use guns. But those are bad people who will break any rules anyway. They're not the people who have complied with all the very, very difficult gun laws that we have in South Africa. So I just think it's interesting. By the way,
you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't answer the entry level question.
What's that? For a shotgun?
Yeah, entry level price.
Okay, a shotgun, 30 grand. But you can probably
get a 30 grand? Okay.
you can get a decent handgun for maybe 15,000 rand. that's not a bad, sort of self-protection gun if you want it. And then rifles, obviously, anywhere from 10 to 60 or 70,000 rand, depending on what you're looking for. And you get semi-automatic rifles and military-grade weapons and all kinds of other things too. But here's Mpihleng. He says he loves your movie script idea. He says the names of the twins have got to be Sia and Leigh-Ann. So I think that's a good idea.
The odds of there being twins in the world named Sia
and Leigh-Ann. No, you'd be the only twins called Sia and Leigh-Ann. That's for sure. No doubt. Gareth, there have been full automatic shotguns with 50-round mags since the 60s, just not here. Well, that's what I meant. Sorry. Quite right. So they haven't been here, but they have been around for a while. My boyfriend has a handgun from World War II that's been in the family for years. I didn't even know you could own guns in Malta because it's not spoken of, and progress to get a license is a nightmare. Yeah. There are countries where they make it very difficult for you to do that. Anyway, that's my little adventure for Tuesday. So I got out of the house and went and looked at the gun.
It's actually quite exciting. I mean, it's something that I'd like to do out of interest. Like visiting a museum is to go to a gun shop. It's something that I've only seen in movies.
So the funniest thing is, like, last week I arrived at the office and we were talking about going to, clay pigeon shoot or go out to a shooting range. And Dory, who's like the only person in our office who I would have said would never want to hold a gun, she was like, next time you go, you better take me with. So she was really keen,
wow.
Yeah, to go shooting. So it just shows you it's not the people you expect every time,
You and I have done clay pigeon shooting together before. We did with Mabale and CS.
Right. You liked it.
And I did. I enjoyed it. It was good.
Okay. We should talk about Gareth now.
On the blink again. Sorry. On the blink again. Gareth's internet's on the blink again. There we go. Sing some country songs. See, it all started with She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain. Now we got country music stuck in our fucking heads. It's ridiculous. So you were saying you did enjoy the clay pigeon shooting?
Yeah, absolutely. Loved it.
Yeah. Listen, what was that noise? Did you hear?
I just cleared my throat.
It sounded horrible.
Maybe it was doubled in length on your side. I'm not sure.
Really bad. All right, Sia's discovered a new TV show, so everybody take note because we're always looking for good TV shows here. So go on. What do we got?
It is the
Where do we find it?
It's the dumbest, funniest, most ridiculous thing I've discovered recently. I'm late to this party. Maybe some of you guys might know him. His name is Eric Andre.
Yes.
And it's the Eric Andre Show. And it is everything that you know. It's the format of a typical late night show. But this Eric Andre dude is just not okay in the head. The lift doesn't go all the way to the top. Legitimately, something is wrong with him. And it's only like 11 minutes long per episode. And he just does crazy shit. And so I'm just here to say 11 minutes is not that long. Even just find the clips on YouTube. And it is absolutely hilarious. So he'll do things like go out and film sketches in public. Mm-hmm. But honestly, things like in one of the episodes I watched, he dressed up as a bench in New York City. And this massive bench. And he's positioned inside. People sit on the bench as if, it's a normal bench. And then his face will pop out from the back and he starts talking to people, but really like being unnerving and weird. Another sketch.
And you get to see them. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah. We lost you for a moment. There was another sketch where he planted himself to look as if he was hanging from a balcony. as a cyclist. So there's like a bicycle hanging midair, and then he's hanging from the air, and then he's screaming to people walking on the pavement, like, please help me. And then there's like fake blood popping out, and then there are like fake organs falling out. Imagine walking as a pedestrian and you see that.
That is so funny. I like this guy. I've got to watch the show. So where did you say you can get this?
So what do we search to find it?
The Eric Andre show.
Oh,
like
wow.
It is
hilarious.
It is stupid. It is everything that you need to know in a TV show. And then that doesn't include the aspect of his interviews. So I went and I actually researched how they shoot the show. So it's, your typical celebrity guest comes in and it's a very short interview, but they film it over 40 minutes to an hour to get the best bits. But random things will happen. He'll be asking a guest about, firstly, he's very rude and disparaging to the guest. Like, he interviewed Diddy's son, who's a rightful actor in his own lane. And the introduction was, hey, welcome this guy who's Diddy's son, and he walks in. But stupid shit will happen mid-interview. A naked person will walk on set. This band will start playing during someone's answer. Fire will fall from the ceiling. This two people in the military will be suspended from the ceiling and they're 69ing each other. It's just...
I love, because that format is so old, right? I mean, like, they've been doing late night talk shows for such a long time now that when you see these things, there's so few people that are being original with it. And this guy sounds like he's got an incredible handle on doing totally weird and outrageous shit. And I love that. Like, he's breaking the rules. He's figuring out new ways to make boring late night talk shows interesting again.
And at his own expense. Like, he loves getting naked at any opportunity that he can get. He was interviewing someone, an actress, and some cheesecake pops out and he's like, oh, would you like some cheesecake? And the guest's like, no, thank you. And then says, I'll have some. He takes the cheesecake. He pulls his pants down. He shoves the cheesecake up his ass. And then he goes, oh, talk about a sugar rush. Like, what?
What a great guy.
I'm crying.
What was that?
This is awesome.
That's a real sugar rush. Like, it's weird. I am not doing it justice at all.
According to Oxy Head, it's the same crew who do Rick and Morty, which is awesome because, God, is that a good show. Okay, very, very nice. Carl says, listening to the show this morning, it's like watching a live show via fax, for fuck's sake. With Meg says, I would be afraid if Sia ever got a gun.
I would be scared too. So that makes two of us, Megs.
Yeah. And here's some advice for Leigh-Ann about guns. Leigh-Ann, you can go to any gun shop with a firing range and rent a gun to shoot with. Rental guns are cheap. Ammo is expensive. You need a licensed person with you. So there we go. Now, someone else, Elias, says that you should go and look up GOSA, Girls on Fire. We actually interviewed them a while ago. They are running introductory courses for women to get familiar with and learn to use guns.
Okay.
And how is the course different for women to men?
No, just because there are so few women who do use guns in comparison to the men that they've created a special course so that it seems more welcoming for women. Because otherwise it's just a whole bunch of dudes, and guys.
I want to go to the men's course.
Oh, okay, you come along to the men's course then.
I want to go to the Angelina Jolie course. Do they have that? How do you shoot and look sexy? Or like shoot and then have an iconic tagline afterwards? Like,
they're actually,
you can look sexy shooting. It's possible to do that.
There are actually a bunch of guards, not guards, they're policemen in Pakistan who have now taken to rollerblading.
Oh,
yeah.
It makes so much. So, this video I watched, they do this whole show, this just to show you what they can do on their rollerblades. And it makes so much sense to get into get a bit of speed going and point out your gun, because you're now you're now stable, you're not running.
Right.
So you can get much better aim. And jumping over motorbikes and skipping stairs and catching criminals, it's pretty cool. And they've got females as well who have to wear their black headdresses, and they just look so badass. Very, very cool.
It's not so comforting to me, though, when they're on rollerblades and one of their biggest threats could be a pebble on the ground. So
yeah,
have you or sand? I mean, it is Pakistan.
I know this is kind of crazy, but I noticed that there are a lot more kids riding around. I'm talking about like kids under the age of like 15 who are rollerblading and skating around. Roller skates, like the old stuff that was popular in the 70s, like before we were even born. You know, the stuff that Olivia Newton-John did in like Xanadu? That's back.
Well, I mean, that was a big thing when I wore roller skates instead of shoes for a long time. And I would go to the roller rink and go round and round for hours. My mom sat in the car and read a book. It's this whole thing of this whole retro thing, you know, Friends coming back and becoming cool, and Stranger Things, the series, roller skating.
I just want to point out that Sia didn't go, "Oh wow, Leigh-Ann, you used to roller skate." He went, "Oh, shame, your poor mother had to wait in the car." It's amazing how people find different parts of stories moving.
No, I think he felt sorry for me.
No, I felt bad for your mother because she had no phone. So she couldn't be connected to anyone. She had no idea if you will be back in 20 minutes or 2 hours. So she just had to sit and twiddle her thumbs.
Yeah, that's how it works. Those were the days before we had cell phones. It's great.
Sure. That's all I remember. Well, that's not all I remember, but that's a large chunk of what I remember from my grandfather picking us up from school, was just a thick Wilbur Smith book, because he would just sit there and read. It's like, hey, you know, you could.
He used to read Wilbur Smith?
That was always his thing. It was just always a thick Wilbur Smith book.
Look who's here. It's George Meany, everybody. That means your Friday is properly starting. How's it, George?
Hey, Gareth. Good, and you?
I'm good. What's happening with you? You look very smart today, George. Where are you? Because we always have to check on your location.
I am in my studio, but I changed it around a bit.
God, this is exciting. Every week there's a different setup with you. That's the plane last week. You were in a car the week before. Now you're in your studio again, but it looks totally different. You've got this cool green lighting behind you. You put in more effort than anyone else. I'm very impressed.
BMW i8.
Oh, there's a little BMW there, which is that's the car you want, right?
Well, no, it's a hybrid. So yes, I used to want it.
No, it's a very nice car, though. That's a
It's a very nice car.
You see a few of them. There are a few of them on the road in South Africa. I've seen a couple.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them driving around. I mean, they're hybrids, so they're pretty quick and they're pretty efficient. So they're very nice cars. They're beautiful, beautiful cars. The trouble with hybrid cars, though, is the batteries, when they go, it's very, very expensive. We learned that lesson with the Nissan Leaf and and those. Sorry, not the Nissan Leaf. The Toyota Prius. Yes, the Toyota Prius. Which it's very expensive to replace that battery.
Damn. Tesla, the big news this week, we discussed with Sean Sanders already, that Tesla, now you can buy one with Bitcoin. So when you buy yours, is that what you're going to use to pay for it, George?
No. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure which one's the right. I don't have any Bitcoin yet.
No. You need to get in there, George. It's now only $52,000. So if you get in there, you could be there for, I mean, who knows? I do not take financial advice from me.
You know what? I think financial advice from anybody nowadays is 50-50.
Exactly. All right. So what do you got for us on the agenda this morning?
Well, talking about Teslas, the Chinese military have banned Teslas from their bases and government buildings, institutions, facilities. Yes, because of the cameras that Teslas have on them.
Okay.
Oh.
So, is this the beginning of a little bit of a backlash from the Huawei incident?
Yeah, just let's remind everybody. So China and the US have been facing off because apparently Huawei phones have been sending information back to China about the users and about various things that are going on in countries where Huawei are being used, including the US. And the US says this is a form of spying. And so China might be hitting back. But then the Chinese are super secretive about their government installations and facilities. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just because of that. You can drive those cars everywhere else in China, though, right?
Yes, you can. And as a matter of fact, the Model 3 was the first internationally built Tesla in China, and was the most popular and most sold car in China, or should I say electric vehicle in China, until a much cheaper micro EV started to beat it with sales, locally designed and manufactured EV from China. So it did massively well. People love that car. So I think for the Chinese government to ban Teslas will be very difficult. But they've banned them from the government facilities.
Sure, well, that's not surprising. They're very paranoid. And look, I mean, most governments are, right, but the Chinese government, we know so little about what goes on in their underground facilities and their military facilities. They apparently have James Bond villain level.
It's not me, is it, Gareth?
No.
Yeah. We're losing each other every now and then.
We're losing each other.
It means we can talk about Gareth behind his back.
No. I was just busy explaining that we talk to George every Friday. He's the CEO of Auto Trader, so you didn't miss anything. I mean, there's nothing you guys don't already know. So go ahead.
Wait,
George.
what?
Sorry,
the best response would have been George going, "What? I'm who?"
Imposter.
You didn't know that you were the CEO of Auto Trader. What happened, George?
Sometimes I wake up and wonder.
All right, what else do you got for us?
So how do you make sure, it's Easter weekend coming up, and how do you make sure that you don't have any outstanding fines? Because if you're going to wait for the snail mail, you might not get your fine. You might not even know you have a fine. And you may just get arrested because the police are allowed to arrest you on the side of the road if you have a fine outstanding, and you may not even know that you have a fine outstanding, or that there may be a warrant issued for your arrest. So the answer is there's multiple sources to go to online, but there's one in particular called PayFine that you can log into, and it gets updated. Do you go to PayFine?
Yeah, that's the one I use.
And they're pretty good. If you log on there, they're updated daily. Check if you have fines. Make sure you don't pay the fine 1 or 2 days before the Easter weekend, because we know how slow government systems are to potentially update. You don't want yourself inadvertently arrested. If you do pay it 1 or 2 days before the Easter weekend, print out the proof of payment so that you can present that to the police if you do get pulled over.
That makes a lot of sense.
Don't waste your holiday.
This is always just a problem that I have to deal with, because boy, am I outstanding, and damn, am I fine. I'll see myself out now. See myself out. Happy Friday.
Sia, are you trying to imitate that dude on the 11-minute show you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
I'm fine now.
Trying to put up. That's ridiculous. All right, so George, if you're going to pay your fines, don't pay them before the Easter weekend.
Don't pay them just before the Easter weekend. If you do, and you find yourself in a bit of a pinch, then rather print out the proof that you paid it.
What happens if you have fines and I mean, they can obviously stop you, and then you might have to pay if you've got fines that have gone to a warrant of arrest, you could be arrested, you could be taken to jail. Yep. But I mean, how strict are these rules, and what happens if you don't pay fines at all?
Well, if you do go through a roadblock, they will arrest you, and then they might just impound your car, take you to the courthouse, and put you through the processes. Massive inconvenience. Sometimes depending on the amount, I'm pretty sure that the penalty gets heavier. They could mess you around, keep you there. You just don't want to do it.
Or you just bribe the right cop. Not that I would do that, of course.
Well, hopefully those are getting fewer and fewer over time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if the politicians can get away with, like, no one will arrest Jacob Zuma for all the fraud and corruption and his contempt of court. So why should they arrest little old you and me? That's all I'm saying.
Well, moving swiftly along. In-car cameras are raising privacy concerns, Consumer Reports say. And these are around Tesla's. Tesla's use of in-car cameras to record video footage of passengers to develop self-driving technology is raising massive privacy concerns in the US. And, is this going to go anywhere? Are they going to put a lid on Tesla's cameras inside the car? I mean, how do you monitor a driver without having a camera in the car? I suppose you've got to put steps in place that commit that you don't record the information or store it anywhere. But how do you do that as a car maker and teach your AI what awake means and what sleeping means and what drowsy means? The AI has to learn from something. So I don't know where this is going to go. Car makers like Ford and General Motors monitor things with other technologies like infrared, whereas Tesla uses cameras.
Well, I mean, AI, obviously they're developing all these algorithms now to be able to figure out what people are doing and how they behave. But it would be quite easy to see if someone's tired because of the way their body moves and eyes closed and that kind of thing. So, obviously you don't want that happening while you're driving, but it is a way to monitor it, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, it's very bizarre the way that they're able to pick up on these behavioral cues. It makes me a little bit miserable. It makes me a bit sad that eventually we're going to have these machines reading us, and humans have no part to play in this. They're going to be like, "Oh, you're sad." You're like, how the hell did you know? I haven't even spoken to you.
And these machines are pretty accurate. I've read some things that that show that these machines actually get it right most of the time. You don't have to say a word.
Yeah. Well, let's just not go too far down this road. I don't want them telling me my deepest thoughts and feelings when I haven't even thought of my deepest thoughts and feelings. Scare the hell out of me.
You're feeling sad, Gareth. Oh, am I about to feel sad?
Tells you before it happens.
And then here's an exciting story. I sent you the link in the chat, and that is a young Joburg entrepreneur. Now, sometimes you get these stories, and it's somebody with a pipe dream, without the ability or the resources to actually take it anywhere. But this particular Joburg entrepreneur, Nhlala Mazibuko, founded a company called Mazibuko Motor Company in Johannesburg, and he hopes to build South Africa's first electric bakkie. Looks pretty cool if you'd ask me.
Electro bakkie.
This guy is smart because he knows that South Africa is a big market for bakkies. Hey, people love them. I mean, Afrikaans people, black people love bakkies. They really do. So this is a massive gap in the market. This guy could fill that nicely and make some serious dough.
He could. Auto Trader's data shows bakkies are some of the most searched for cars in South Africa. South Africa is a bakkie nation. So the reason he did this was because he was becoming frustrated at South Africa's slow adoption of electric vehicles. I'm going to urge you, Mazibuko, to go and read Auto Trader's electric vehicle report from last year. That's not the consumer that's the issue. It's government taxes on the imports, as well as no incentives for manufacturing EVs in South Africa. So, it's down to the regulators at the end of the day again.
Yeah, listen, I got to apologize again to anyone who's listening on the app or on the podcast, because we've had such internet issues today that there's like parts of the show that aren't going to make any sense. It's driving me insane, and we'll have to find a solution to this, even if it means me having to go to the studio from next week. But George, from what I understand, like the data that you were just talking about that you guys have on Auto Trader, you have huge insights into what people drive, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you guys probably know more about what people drive in this country and what people are interested in buying and selling than anyone else. Have you seen any major changes since the beginning of this year? Because we know lockdown, surprisingly, you had more traffic to your site than ever before. I remember you telling us that. What's happened in the way that people might have been modifying their searches and the kind of thing they're interested in now in 2021 as we start to come out of this pandemic? What do you think is happening?
Well, towards the end of last year, normality started to set in. We're still seeing growth rates of 40, 50% in traffic and conversion.
Right.
And so the growth in used car search hasn't slowed down. Consumers are still buying used cars as opposed to new cars. It's a problem though, because new car is a feeder to the used car retail market. So the trouble is, while all of this activity is happening, and the sub 200,000, sub 300,000, and mid-range cars have got back to normal levels again. We saw people downgrading. People are actually upgrading now, but they're upgrading used car to used car as opposed to trading in used car for an upgraded new car. So that's the difference that we're seeing, is people are actually upgrading their cars, and it wasn't the case last year. So if you ask me what the difference is between lockdown last year and the beginning of this year, it's upgrades. And the other interesting thing is that given the downward pressure of new car because of the increase in prices, the average price of a new car has increased by about 9% in the last 12 months, which is double inflation. And consumers just won't go there. They're coming to used. But the trouble is that if this continues, there will be a lack of used car stock in the market. If everybody continues to buy used cars, there'll be a lack of used car stock in the market. And that's a recipe for increasing used car prices in the natural economic model. So I think we could potentially see increase in prices. So, if you really wanted to upgrade your car, go and do it before these prices begin rising.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's useful advice. All right, listen, guys, I'm going to wrap this up for this morning because I'm just having such internet issues here, and I really hope we can get this resolved. I'm going to get on the phone to these people now and see what we can do about it, because it's been almost impossible. Thank you for bearing with us this morning if you have. And George, always good to see you. We will check in with you next Friday. No, in fact, next Friday is Good Friday. We won't see you on Friday next week.
Oh, no, I'm gutted.
But you get a long weekend as a bonus. So remember, next week is also a short 4-day week, and we will see you guys on Monday. Have an excellent weekend. Be good.